New kill leader. Good. Standing taller will make them easier to spot.
Right, so I would say it this way, just because he's not judged necessarily in this life, well, I mean, he would be judged.
How do we know? Like,
in
think
prison.
that's then like there we go again. Like, we don't even know if there's an afterlife. We can only speculate till we're dead, right? So like, if I'm judging the afterlife for talking shit, and oh, so be it. You know, like I'm not like if it's all like real, like nigga, I'm like maybe God will forgive me because God believes in forgiveness or whatever. It's not like I disbelieve him, but it's like it's hard. Like this convo, like it leads into so much other like it's like leads into what's after death. It leads into truth.
Yeah,
Shit.
but like
No,
we were
like,
saying earlier, also, if there is a God,
also,
the possibility for an afterlife is extremely high, I would say, because that was our first premise earlier. Was like, obviously, if there's
but like
a God,
that's
then
why,
there'd be no reason
yeah.
to believe in an afterlife. But
That's what I'm saying. Like,
there must be a God.
gives us a comfort
would be.
in the because that's what I said. I bring it up. The book of Gilgamesh. It's about the fear of death. We fear death, so we make and create these ideologies,
Opening fire on our prey.
and belief systems to give us comfort in the face of death.
Reloading.
Nope. So that's why, like, I don't deny it, or I believe it. That's why I'm, yeah, like, because we could just go fucking, it could just go completely black, and you could just fucking fade away, consciousness completely. You know? Or you can go to some spiritual realm or some shit that with all of these other things that you can't like conceive in this reality.
Arc star out.
Like maybe like who knows? I don't know if God fucking exists. Like I don't know if.
Well, like we were saying earlier, I think we have very good reason to believe that there is a God. Like we were saying, from the causality of the universe.
Like, has there been any like events that proven God existence other than just fucking Jesus? Because there were so many other people before Jesus, even after Jesus, that were also called God, like to base off of their moral superiority or whatever. You know?
No.
I have been down.
Recharging shields.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's
Like,
tons of reasons. If you're just talking about just like events from the fact of like resurrection or something like that, is that what you mean?
oh, like no, like I'm talking like, cause like other religions believe in their own prophets, right? So like,
Need a new angle on this.
are you gonna tell fucking 3 billion Islamic people that Allah's not God? Or are you gonna tell fucking 2 billion people that Buddhism is not true, that you don't have to believe in anything? You only have to believe in like reality as it is, the present? Are you gonna deny the fact that whatever fucking Muhammad is not God or whatever the fuck, you know? Like, like I don't know, like there's so many, there's everybody believes in their own God or whatever, their own idea. Like, so I'm just saying, like I don't deny Christianity, I don't deny any other religion. It's all like the same. These people like to fucking say, oh, Allah is God, oh, Jesus is God, but it's just so dumb. Like it's such a dumb thing to argue about. People don't understand that. So brainwashed, they're deceived.
What it comes down to though is, do we have reason to believe any of these people, what they said about themselves or others? So like if we have a person like Jesus who believes in God, we have to say, do we have evidence? Hey,
shut down a cargo.
A guy like Muhammad, if he says
Recharging my shield.
the opposite.
I decided to contradict myself a bit, not gonna lie.
Level 2.
But
Oh, you're good, man. I get your concerns and questions, man. You're all good.
but it's like it all leads into a contradiction though. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like all these conversations lead into a contradiction in some way.
Adjust your
So like you mean from the religious standpoint?
Like, you know, moral superiority to like
Reloading.
fucking the like concept of creation or like in whatever, like
Getting shot at.
God. Like it all leads into contradictions because we don't truly know
Fire on our prey.
how we experience whatever's next when we die.
Shields.
I mean, sure, we don't know
whatever's
everything,
after. Like, yeah,
but I
like,
think the things we do know.
Shield. Reloading.
Is right now. Yeah, we can't know everything. We're finite. Do we have somewhat of an answer to give us? We keep talking a lot about objective. Like, here's another. The Muslims deny the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ. Right? Because what they would say is he was supplemented on the cross. But the problem is why was he being killed in the first place? Well, it was
That's another squad
because
shooting at us.
flames,
Oh, they suck at
right?
it.
And
Watch
because
out,
of the
watch out.
flames,
I go
that's
picked a
why.
sweet angle. Moving.
Are you going that way?
Oh,
okay,
yes,
I see
dude, there's a
that.
team behind us.
Yeah, that's.
Just got
Let's check
sniped.
out that way, friends.
Yeah,
this
because
server's
like,
gonna be
so think about it. Like the
The
people
ring
who
is in
fucking
close
killed those
proximity.
prophets or
Left,
whatever
I've got an Evo
believe
shield.
that they're
Extended light
morally
mag here.
superior
Level 2.
than him just because he was a good human being, right?
Recharging my shield.
So like, I don't know.
You mean
I
like
guess they were
Muhammad
just
killing people?
No, like
30
Jesus
seconds
or
remain.
something. Like the
The
people who
ring
killed
is
Oh,
Jesus
you
or
mean that
whatever.
killed Jesus? Okay, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
like
yeah.
they thought they were morally superior because, in
They
their
were,
actions.
They were Israel, yeah. They're the chosen.
Healing up.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing. It's a contradiction because
shields.
like, no, I
The
don't know.
ring's
Like,
close.
it's hard to say.
Watch my back.
Because
I'm
you gotta
healing.
bring in all fucking like all concepts, all ideas, all beliefs, like in order to believe in something that's as
So,
a whole.
yeah,
I get
and
like
that's
I don't know.
one of those things too. Like from
The
the
ring's
Muslim
closing. Let's
perspective.
not get caught outside.
That's what objective means, bro.
Yeah, like
Facts. It's
you-
material. Like it's facts. It's like something that is all like. No.
Like, is it a historical fact that Christ died by crucifixion?
Care package being delivered.
I would say
Care package
absolutely.
coming
That we
down.
have
Getting a fresh angle.
tons of documentation from
I mean,
first
I
and
don't.
second century.
Yeah. Like artifacts.
Yeah,
That
it's a lot
sheath or whatever that was over his head or his face or some
Yeah,
shit.
but they,
Oh,
that, like, that's the one thing
that
that
it-
most people cannot prove.
Turn,
Even
yeah.
the skeptical people can't prove that it's not true. Like,
But it could have been faked. Like that's the thing.
So-
Like who knows?
The
but
we have.
I saw
first
this thing that
century
said if it
evidence.
was faked, it was like someone,
Not a
some
sheath.
super
It's not.
genius.
That's literally the.
Yeah,
Oh, it
I
is-
don't really look
or-
at the Shroud of Turin much. I don't think it's great evidence because someone could easily,
Like what evidence do you have to prove the existence of Jesus Christ?
Oh, so here, earlier we were talking about the existence of God, so we have to look at scientific and philosophical data, right? But when we're talking about Christ, you can't go into scientific stuff because he was in a finite body. So you can't look at science to determine whether or not Jesus is real. We have to look at history. That's how we determine historical figures.
Replicator
So when we
being
look at like
delivered.
historical figures,
Replicator incoming.
okay. So we have.
But I'm just thinking of like a material object or a material thing that could prove his
Better
existence.
I'm going
incoming
over here.
location.
Not just some history that some story, because anything can be called history, or like, and it could just be complete bullshit. Like, it's like Allah or whatever the fuck, all that shit. That could just be complete bullshit, like or whatever, you know. But a lot of
Care
people like
package
to
over
believe
there.
it, believe it's
So,
the truth.
from a historical perspective, the reason we can believe, we can know that a person existed based on multiple
Eyes up.
independent
Replicator dropping
lines of sources that talk
Taking
about
a new
them.
angle.
So, like, if we have one source of, let's say, a person that existed, a historian would say that's
Watch
not
it,
great
grenade.
data to go off of. That's kind of.
Contact.
Yep.
Um,
Moving to Echo for a better
this is like
angle.
literally so confusing for me, man.
Giving my shield to recharge.
I don't
Basically,
like
what I
having
mean is,
debates and shit because like it just confuses me. I just like to chill.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I know what you mean.
You should hop in this game after this.
No, but I like to just like when I like to talk about shit, I like to just chill.
Taking fire.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard to play with at the same time. That's why I have such a difficult time sometimes.
Down to mark. I'm down.
Apex is heavy.
I got one. Chris, go up there.
Oh, he's up top.
Like
Yeah, I'll give
that's
you
why
first, I
I'm
guess, 'cause he's
saying
reviving
like,
this guy.
imagine reality. That's why I'm more of like not making options for freeze, you know,
Right.
or whatever Black Belt like that,
Reloading.
ideology. But I had a belief
Lucky us,
system
we are
or
already
whatever.
inside the ring. Wow, looks like
I don't really believe in like
incoming care
I don't
package. I love
confirm
loot.
or deny anything. I did just everything just is. That's my belief. That's what I believe. Everything just
So yeah,
is.
but that's the thing. That's
Don't
where
worry, I'm here.
can we
We're doing great.
disprove
Only 2 other squads remain.
other like that's why when we were talking about earlier,
Keep eyes on the
the
new
spaceless,
kill leader.
timeless, non-material being.
Watch my back. I'm
We're
healing.
looking at that concept of the spaceless, timeless, non-material being. We can get rid of a lot of religious thoughts just off of that one philosophical and scientific consensus. So like we can say, if this scientific consensus is true, and we have good reason to believe that the Big Bang and
Recharging
fine
my
tuning
Materials here.
from the philosophical perspective, we can say with very high confidence that formative, by definition, would have to be false. Because they say that
Already in the next
God
ring.
is literally a
Take a
human
break
just
if
like
you're
I write.
I got some materials
But
for
by
us.
definition,
Yay.
philosophically and scientifically, he couldn't be. So
Mm.
we can say there's multiple religions that we can deny simply based on these kinds of
Care
conclusions
package over
and
here.
data that we can do, looking at it from that perspective. There was a Craver in that one box up there if you want, man.
That's basically my ult.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But just looking at it from that perspective, we can also look at it from the Christian perspective. Christianity would be is even easier. Topical. Because all it really talks about is really the central basis of Christianity is nothing. Whether or not that is a
Mark
historical,
Star out.
accurate.
Oh, I fell all the way
Mark
back
Star.
down.
Frag out.
I'm getting some good hits right now.
I don't know, bro. Like I personally don't have
Giving my
enough
shield
like
to recharge.
experience to like actually like truly
I
have
know
like
what you mean, man.
like a debate about it. So like I don't know why, but like
So that-
I do
me
believe
give
in
you some data
a
here in a
supreme
second,
being,
man.
but I also don't believe in a supreme being or whatever, because until I fucking see it and experience it, and I will, right? Like truly, it's the only like thing
kind of
I
experience do you
experienced that
think
was
you had?
overwhelming
Healing up.
was off of hallucinogenics, and that's not God, it's drugs. Like
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
overstimulated, yeah. Like people like to say, "Oh, I fucking experienced God or whatever when I took
Let's go
DMT."
this way.
That's just a fucking drug.
Right.
Yeah, like we don't really fucking know anything. We don't really know
I
anything,
need
you know.
shields.
Like sure, yeah, like we have to do something that like help
Recharging
society
shields.
and shit.
I'll be right
But
back.
thank God.
Open
Oh,
supply
yeah.
bin over here.
Chucking a frag
I'll
grenade.
come back up.
Beginning ring countdown.
Recharging shields. Already in the next ring. Take a break if you're old.
Oh, can you go to the bathroom instead?
Healing up.
I'm gonna run out of ammo, man.
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
What you got? Oh, perfect. Lifesaver, my man.
Thanks.
Getting
We just play this smart, man.
Yeah, I've got. I can give you some more ammo if you need.
This should last for a little bit. I have an RE45.
half in the bag.
I can use some of this too. This is just gonna be a resource game, man. Whoever runs out first.
Yep.
Worst case, we can.
What guns do you have?
This way.
I got an RE45
I am taking fire,
and the
friends.
block right now. With the RE45,
Fire.
My
Anyways,
RS-25 is
I do
my-
believe
my go-to
that
right now.
we create the imagined realities to like work together, like to create
Might
like
be good to watch right here.
guidelines
I'll do it.
and rules
Giving my
and like
shield to recharge.
something that we agree upon to
Oh
like,
no!
for growth, right? So like only reason why we fucking believe in these things is for our so we could work together, and that's it's been like it's like an
I didn't know it
intro-
was just us two.
It's like instilled in us in our DNA, like to like believe in
Reloading. Recharging shields.
things and shit like that.
I knew that.
And
Rush
to
it,
like
rush it,
think,
rush it.
to even think, like consciousness, like freedom of thought and stuff, like creates these things, like creates or like civilization or whatever. We didn't exist or whatever like that. Nothing would fucking, you know, like it wouldn't even matter what the fuck anything is.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I still think though, like from that, like, so you believe there was a God that created humans, though, right?
Mm.
'Cause if that God did create humans, do you think that same God would have put values within that human species? Of,
That's
like,
some rank.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, like, yeah, like we all have our own values and shit, and like all of that of how we live our life. But like, it's just all I'm trying to tell you is, if we didn't have a brain, we wouldn't be able to fucking believe in a value or believe in something bigger than us, right? Like, we were like a salamander, some shit.
Mhm.
You know, like, wouldn't even matter. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
it only exists because we think so.
Do you mean like religious thought?
Everything.
I still think I take the objective truth though, like that. That's why I start with like the scientific parts, because like we have to try to understand objective reality. Is it a fact that the Big Bang happened? If we say yes, the Big Bang happened. Is evolution a fact? Is this like we can look at all of these things within the universe and we can see if they're actually true or not. Because like we can deny it with our free will, because like I've said before, there's Christians that are denied it, Christians that are denied it. And that's fine, they can do that with the free will, but that's why we have, you know, you can say that's a incorrect idea or a correct idea, but you have the free will to believe in what you believe. However, that doesn't make it right, and like there's some people that think the earth is flat, but we objectively
That's bullshit.
that it's not. You know what I mean? Like if we can clearly
It's
see that the Earth
objectively
is not.
factual that the Earth is round.
Exactly, and that's what I
It's
mean.
like,
So
if you
so
stand
when
on,
we look
yeah,
at-
yeah.
So that's all I mean. So once you come to all of these conclusions, we can then say, is it objective fact that there probably is a God? And that's where we continue
No,
on
but
to
like
say,
the objective fact that there's a God judging us and shit like that will not be known until we die.
and sure, I do agree with that from the
Yeah.
standpoint of, for
But,
example,
like,
we
in the
cannot
moment
see
that we are
God.
in now, like we wouldn't be able to conceive it, God, you know,
Yeah, but I think that
because our never.
sure, but I still think, because like let me say it this way: is there a possibility that there may not be one? It's like sure. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, but is it logical to think that? And that's where I would say it's not logical to think that there is no God, because of all of the reasons that we've given, whether it's the fine tuning or the causality of the universe. I can even put it this way. I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan. That's why I'm always quoting C.S. Lewis. He says, supposing there was no intelligence behind the universe, no creative mind, in that case, nobody designed my brain for the purpose of thinking. It is merely that when the atoms inside my skull happen, for physical or chemical reasons, to arrange themselves in a certain way, this gives me, as a byproduct, the sensation I call thought. If so, how can I trust my own thinking to be true? It's like upsetting a milk jug and hoping that the way it splashes itself will give you the map of London. But if I can't trust my own thinking, of course I can't trust the arguments leading to atheism, and therefore have no reason to be an atheist, or anything else. Unless I believe in God, I cannot believe in thought, so I can never use thought to disbelieve. And basically what he's saying here, if you were to just look at it from a naturalistic nature is all there is no supernatural
This one's for my mom.
reality, that means everything that you and I are thinking right now are just chemical arrangements.
Let's
But
have
they weren't
fun,
designed
friend.
for any kind of specific thought process anyway. That's just happened.
Breathe easy. Watch your side and never quit.
But it also goes back into that play earlier where I was saying if the universe has no meaning, why are we searching for meaning? Or like, if there is no purpose, why do we look for purpose in our lives and this and that?
Come from so hard.
Quit your whinging and fight.
But I just think the naturalistic explanations fail for so many reasons. For like, just like he says, that if it is true, then we wouldn't even be able to necessarily trust our own thoughts. But B, nature itself had a beginning. So if nature itself had a beginning, that means the cause of nature must be outside
Get
of
ready.
nature.
Moving up.
Because it just, if we go back in time and nature itself did not exist, then nature itself cannot be all that exists. So that means we're looking at something of what we would call by definition supernatural, because it exists outside of nature. It supersedes nature.
Attention.
And if that is true, like, and these are the things that, like, this isn't my opinion, like, these are just things that, like, if we're just looking at it on face value.
Beginning ring countdown.
Lucky us, we are already inside the
I'm
ring.
basing this off of scientific and philosophical ideas. I'm not doing it any other way. So I think these reasons, we have good, very good reasons. And then like we were saying earlier about how finely tuned the universe is, that if gravity was, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like if it was 1,000 millionth of a second difference, the Big Bang would have collapsed back on itself and the universe would have never been created. Like, how do we explain such fine-tuning and precision of gravity? The hydrogen
Well, they
oxygen
say
that we
they
have.
say the God particle or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like they were trying to find, like, you heard of CERN, where they're shooting like particles at like light speed at each other to try to find the or to try to
I've heard of
prove
it.
find the
The
existence
Big
of like
Boom.
how the Big Boom happened, right? And they
Yeah, they're
found
doing
this
it
particle
underground.
called the Hodgson particle, but it's not what the Big Bang was, because it's just like the Big Bang was an infinite amount of particles colliding with each other, like at fucking light speed or
I
whatever,
need a backpack.
or like faster than light speed, you know? So we can't even can't even engineer a particle that could recreate the Big Bang. It's not possible, because it would take all of
Need a new
fucking
angle on
existence
this.
in order to create Big Bang, right? So like, if a god or a super being was tampering and creating the universe, then how the fuck would he exist out of creation? Like, how would he
There's
even
the
exist
affiliate.
at all? Like,
Old one's dead,
or how would it
slacking
even
off.
exist? I keep saying he because it's like, because I'm a male, right? But like, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying, like,
I mean, you have the right concept of it, yeah. We
I'm
would
just
look at
saying,
it
like,
as a fatherly
how the
figure.
fuck would he know where he came from? Like, unless there's multiple universes and there's multiple gods, but like, how the fuck would those super beings
Yeah.
even know where they came from? Like, it doesn't make sense, because unless there's like a
So-
god particle and there's a single point of all existence that like goes on for eternity or whatever, and then it comes back and implodes onto itself, and it goes and explodes, and then it implodes again, like some big
Staying color
like
will
thing
make 'em easier to spot.
breathing or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't have
But
like
still,
maybe
like,
that's what God is, a
um,
particle.
Well, I think still, I think the better conclusion would, how we were saying earlier, is a mind. Because how we were saying
Mind.
that math can only come from a mind. The universe
Mhm.
is built on math, so if the universe is built on math, then we conclude that math can only come from a mind. But that's the standard metric.
Well, yeah,
Pick up
like
your feet,
I
let's
know
go
you're
here.
like
Car SMG here.
so.
It's a
I don't know,
non-material.
man.
It
It's a
didn't come
little
from
trippy.
anything.
It's a little
Is it-
trippy, honestly.
If God does exist, by all of the categories and the details that we've looked at, spaceless, timeless, non-material, powerful mind that would exist
Mhm.
outside of the universe, that means you're looking at
Like you're saying like a
uncaused-
supreme soul, or like that would be God, right? Like as a
I
collection
wouldn't even necessarily
of
call
like
it
a mind,
soul.
like a
Looking
mind.
up.
Well, because if it's a
There's a
mind,
new
then
kill leader.
then it can
Old one's
conceive all
dead or
things, right?
slacking
Like
off.
it can conceive all, like everybody's life. Like it is like if we have a soul, then we gotta be connected to God in some way, right? So like so like I guess all of our experiences in every like think of it as like light, like shining onto like a fucking piece of glass or whatever, or like and all these like your eye, like it's all of these fucking hues and colors and shit. Like that's everybody, right?
Care package
like-
over there.
Like everybody is, I guess, I don't know. If we're going based off a mind, supreme being, then we all have to be like, I don't know. Fucking, I don't know how to think of it. Like it's not separate. It's fucking. It's within all everything. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it's not a separate
I mean-
being than us. Like it's not. It's more superior than us. It's everything exists.
So yeah, that's kind of why I give that.
It's nothing outside
analogy.
of creation. Nothing.
So-
It's nothing separate. It's one as it is.
It sounds like you're taking like somewhat of a pantheistic view. So like, let me say it this way: if the universe were to die, do you think God would die too? Is God?
I mean, like,
dependent on
I
the-
can't believe anything separate from the universe, honestly, because how would anything exist out of space, mass, and time? Time is only
Yeah.
relative to our own, like, our mind, and
Does math
or-
or thought
or-
exist outside of space, time, and matter?
or not. What the fuck? Wait, I literally, I think I have
Taking
all.
fire. Enemy.
Enemy down.
I just personally think God can't be fucking outside of creation. I think he's just like an energy that's like a big brain or something that's we're inside of this big fucking atom or this big fucking particle.
Taking fire, friends.
See, I still think that's one of the things. Like, what evidence does because, like I've said, by definition, God would have to be outside of space. That would be a definition of what God is.
Well, okay, are you thinking of God as like a person lens and like
Non-material.
my arm, non-material? Well, then he would have to be the universe itself. It would have to be the universe itself. Yeah.
The universe is made of matter. So the cause of the matter is outside
So,
of matter.
if anything's outside of the universe, and he's omnipresent, all of it, and it's just like, can't even conceive that, because then there would have to be like, there would have to be multiple universes then. There would have to be multiple fucking supreme creators or some shit.
Not necessarily, just think of it like
getting
this.
you a
If
do-over,
that being does
huh?
exist, then he would have to be
Outside-
infinite, 'cause
outside
you're
of it?
saying that he knows all things. So if he was infinite,
I make my friends proud.
how could there be more
I
than
ranked
one
up.
infinite being? If you're infinite, by definition, you're everywhere. So if you exist everywhere, how could there be more? How could there be more than one infinite being? Because if you're infinite by definition, that means you lack nothing. So there can't be more than one God. If we're using the scientific basis and philosophical basis that we would use.
Okay, now, I'm starting to get it a little bit. I'm starting to get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Embrace the hunt.
So I don't
That's
know,
all
but-
I mean.
But
There's
but what you're saying, like outside of the universe,
I don't push the envelope. I shred it.
that confuses me. Because if the universe were to like be destroyed, then like,
But it can wait.
and all that would exist is fucking
it wouldn't affect
creation, the
that exists
creator
outside
or
of
whatever.
it.
Like the being. That's a funny thing to think of. Because like, if it's a being with conscious like thought, wouldn't he be so fucking bored? He knows all things. If he's infinite, wouldn't he be like the boredest fucking thing? I don't think whatever it is like conscious or something. Like it can't be, because like if you were God, you'd be fucking bored as fuck.
Do you think that you and I are conscious?
No.
So like,
No, because I mean, yeah, yes, yes and no.
This must
I
be
guess.
what
I
a
don't know.
bullet feels like.
I would say it this way: we would have to be conscious, because how could we be having this conversation right now? 'Cause that's what consciousness is. And we have levels of consciousness, and we can get into some of that too. But if we are conscious, then these are some of the big questions.
So wait,
we talk about the origin of
yeah.
life. Then we have the origin of the universe. Then we have origin of life. These are also things that I use for really give us.
What if God is so bored that he's exploring infinite amount of possibilities to entertain the show? That is what this all is.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that we can
Like,
think about and guess that what God can do outside of the universe. But
well, it's all just a
absolute
guess.
fact, yeah, we don't know.
You're gonna have to move at my
But
speed to make
the,
the next
the,
ring.
the thing is, it really comes down to like,
Good company, and they're not here
are
to
we
sell me
using
chickens.
Attention. First
reason
blood.
about these things too? Because like,
Got our first worm food. Fire in the hole.
if made right here off the bubbles. But
you're still in that match? Holy fuck.
Ring
Oh, we're
closes
in
in 1
one
minute
ring
and
now.
it's a ways
Oh
off.
shit.
Go
Fuck.
fit or die.
you want? Oh, we should invite.
Well,
us.
yeah, you're like, invite me to play this next match.
Right, yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Fire
yeah.
on our prey.
Forgot all about what we were talking.
Taking damage.
We're debating about this shit.
The ring is far. Oh look.
Oh, spikes. I hate
Reloading. Recharging shield.
Levels of consciousness, though. Yeah, like you have like intense, like a
Enemies right here.
mind full of like hate or like whatever. Like
Taking damage.
you could have a mind full of love or whatever. Like there's love, obviously there's levels.
Let me give
Fucking-
you a little bit of an example also.
I don't know, like
Go ahead.
you go into how you put it, consciousness
So,
levels.
first off, I want to explain it to you this way so you really understand more of my basis of what I'm saying. So, like I said, I think the origin of the universe is best explained by this being that we're talking about, a spaceless, timeless, non-material being. If you don't like that wording, then we can call it an entity, mind, whatever you want to call it. Then the next question that most humans would have is life. So now that we have somewhat of a very good, because the universe is how we've talked about. That's the Big Bang is the origin of that. But then the first question about life would be, how did life get here? Because sure, if we have just random materials here, it becomes, how did all of this get here? Like, what I mean by that is by the living material, because like if the first parts of the universe that was created were not living material, it was just rocks and stuff like that, how did the living material get here? Because you can't get life from non-life. If rocks and all of these kind of things are here, you're not going to get life. So how do we explain the origin of life? You can look up any chemist, biologist. We don't have a clue from a scientific perspective how life got here. The best scientific conclusion, and I'm trying to say this with a serious face because it's silly to me. The best conclusion is that water, because that was one of the materials that would have been here that wasn't living, but water is an essential to
Hydrogen,
get life.
oxygen, carbon.
But you had the water, and you had a lightning strike that hit the water, and poof, there's your elements. And then the elements
Yeah, it's
somehow evolved into more and more complex. That's the part of evolution that I cannot agree, because there's no scientific basis of believing that. So what I'm saying is this: from the things that we do see, the first life on Earth that we do see is sea life, animal life from the sea, from like trilobites and sponges and stuff like that. Really simple organisms. But here's where it gets crazy. It's called the Cambrian explosion because it literally looks like life exploded out of nowhere. We have these fossils that we have nothing that predates the prior of this fossil. Like there's nothing that predates the fossil of this animal. But from the evolutionary standard, we should absolutely find its evolutionary form in the prior region, right? Because that's how Darwin's tree was set about. But evolution doesn't answer how the first life got here, it just answers how life has continued. And that's why I continue to say that evolution is a helper with God. It does not disprove God. It actually makes God even more real to me because it explains even more complexity. So if the first life here didn't evolve, how did it get here? And that's why it's called, well, I said the Cambrian explosion, because the scientific word they use is it appeared abruptly. Where did it come from? It just appeared in the fossil record with no prior ancestor. I know a book that explains that very well. It's called Genesis. See what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I mean
I understand.
by it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that some random dude 6,000 years ago wrote about this. How did he know this? And all of the science is still looking at the Bible eye to eye. It just doesn't make sense. We don't have any other book that does that because the Quran says that the earth is flat, and the Quran denies the crucifixion of Jesus, even though it's a historical fact. It denies. They believe that semen comes from our rib. I'm not a biologist, but I'm pretty sure that's not where semen comes from. But it's stuff like that, where like that's the origin of life. To where I would say it looks like life appeared abruptly, and I think it's logical to say that the same being that created space-time out of nothing was the same being that created life out of nothing. Then, where was the area that life took a change from just inorganic, or I should say, single-celled organism type animalistic beings? Like you're talking about, like I said, trilobites and bacteria and stuff like that. Okay, just simple water animals. Okay, how did it go from that to then getting consciousness? Because it doesn't make sense. Because like we can look at other animals in the sea, like a dolphin sea.
Human body is built up of like so many different organisms that create like a being, like a human being, right? So like think of it like all the neurons in your brain and shit are like all interacting. They're all different like fucking